Welcome back, class 10, to the online bio classes. Today we'll continue with the same chapter, that is number 6, photosynthesis. In the previous lesson, you had learnt about the structure of chlorophyll, the chloroplast, which is the site of photosynthesis. Then you had also studied about the carbon cycle adaptations in leaves, which are required for photosynthesis, definition of photosynthesis, and the chemical equation which you need to learn. Now today we have to start with the mechanism. Mechanism means the process by which the entire method, or the method by which the entire process of photosynthesis takes place, is called mechanism. How it is completed in the leaves. And you know that photosynthesis occurs only in the green parts of the plant where chlorophyll is present. And chlorophyll is the name of the pigment which is present in chloroplast, which is a type of plant plastid, green colored plastid. Now, photosynthesis is a biological process, biochemical process you can say, in which the radiant energy, that is the energy which comes from the sunlight, is converted into chemical energy of the food, that is the starch which is prepared by the leaves of the plant. Plants make glucose and store them in the form of starch. So it is called a oxidation reduction reaction. Photosynthesis is a redox reaction, that is oxidation reduction reaction. Why it is called an oxidation reduction reaction? Photosynthesis is called oxidation reaction because it is the oxidation of which compound that occurs, like carbon dioxide is reduced to glucose, and it is the splitting of water molecule which results in the formation of molecular oxygen, that is oxygen is produced as a byproduct. Okay, it is oxidation reduction reaction by which the hydrogen of water reduces carbon dioxide to glucose. Carbon dioxide is reduced to glucose. So reduction of carbon dioxide occurs. You have to learn that carbon dioxide is reduced to glucose, and glucose or fructose are the first product of photosynthesis. We can write the chemical equation. Already know the chemical equation of photosynthesis is 6 molecules of carbon dioxide plus 12 molecules of water in the presence of sunlight, that is UV, I have written, ultraviolet light of the sun, and chlorophyll. It gives rise to C6H12O6, that is the glucose molecules, plus 6 molecules of water, and 6 molecules of oxygen is also produced as a byproduct. So main product which is formed is the glucose, C6H12O6. It is not a simple chemical reaction because it involves 2 steps, that is light reaction and dark reaction. So the entire process of photosynthesis is completed in 2 phases or 2 parts. The first one is called light reaction. The second one is called dark reaction. There are other names also that you have to learn. Okay, light reaction is also called Hill's reaction, named after the scientist who discovered it, or photochemical reaction, whereas dark reaction is also called Calvin cycle, or it is also known as biosynthetic phase. The other name of dark reaction in your syllabus also given, dark reaction. And why it is known as biosynthetic phase? It is called biosynthetic phase because it results in the synthesis of, or the production of, glucose. So also known as biosynthetic phase, Calvin cycle, dark reaction. Now, first we have to study about the light reaction. This process of photosynthesis is the one in which energy of sunlight is converted into chemical energy of the food, and it is available to all the animals or to all the living cells to get their energy from them. So process of photosynthesis is completed in two steps, light reaction and dark reaction. So first we will study about the light reaction, which is also called the photochemical phase of photosynthesis. Now what is the site, where does it occur? It occurs in the thylakoids of chloroplast. You know the structure of chloroplast. The coin-like structures are called thylakoids, which are arranged to form a stack that is known as granum. Okay. So the site, if it is asked, what is the site of light reaction of photosynthesis? Your answer should be, it is thylakoids. And during this reaction, the chlorophyll, what are the different steps of light reaction that we are going to study now? Okay, one by one, what are the different steps and what changes occurs during those different steps of light reaction? So first we have to do the light reaction. After that, dark reaction. In your syllabus, you don't have to learn the detailed equation of dark reaction, but light reaction you have to study all the steps in detail. Okay, so first one is the steps of light reaction. What are the steps of light reaction? In your book also mentioned on page number 68, the first step is activation of chlorophyll. Activation of chlorophyll. We know that chlorophyll is the name of the pigment and its function is to trap the sunlight. Once it traps the sunlight, it gets excited or it is activated to carry out the process of photosynthesis. So during the light reaction, what is photon? You should know, P-H-O-T-O-N. Photon is the unit of light. Like if you divide the light into smaller packets, the smallest part or the unit of light is called photons. So when these photons of light is captured or trapped by the chlorophyll molecule, the molecules of chlorophyll, after getting this light energy, they get excited. So light energy is converted into chemical energy. As you can see, chlorophyll molecule, CHL means chlorophyll. In short, I have written chlorophyll. In your book, the equation is given. CHL, that is chlorophyll. When it receives the light, when light energy is received in the form of small packets, which is called photons, P-H-O-T-O-N-S, this chlorophyll molecule is excited and it is written as CHL, star mark is given. This is called excited or activated form of chlorophyll. Excited chlorophyll. Okay, this is excited form of chlorophyll. So first step of photosynthesis is activation of chlorophyll. When chlorophyll molecule trap the sunlight, they get activated, and that is shown with the help of this equation. Okay. Now the second step, step number 2, is splitting of water molecule. Means when sunlight helps to break the water molecule, this process is called photolysis of water. Photo means sunlight, lysis means breakdown of water molecule. So photolysis of water, and what is the result formed due to this? When water molecule is broken down, like if I write directly the equation H2O, in the presence of sunlight, it breaks down the water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen. So I directly write the equation which is formed at the end. The equation which is formed is water is broken down into hydrogen and oxygen molecule is produced. 4 steps are there, you can see. First, the water molecule is broken down into, if we go for all the steps, H2O is broken down into H plus hydroxyl ion, OH minus. Then again this OH minus, that is hydroxyl ion, is further broken down into 2 molecules of hydroxide, that is OH, plus 2 atoms of electrons are formed. 2E means 2 electrons are produced, which is used during the dark reaction. Now next one is 2 molecules of hydroxide, that is OH, gives rise to water plus half molecules of O2, that is oxygen, plus 2 molecules of electron. All these detailed equations are given, and the last one is 4 molecules of hydroxide, that is OH. It gives rise to 2 molecules of water plus oxygen, that is 1 molecule, and 2 atoms of 4 molecules of electrons, not 2, 4 molecules of electrons. 4 electrons are produced, not molecules, 4 electrons. Okay. So in this equation, ultimately what you will find is it is the water molecule which is broken down in the presence of sunlight into hydrogen ion and oxygen. So molecular oxygen is produced. So this question is asked, like, what is the source of oxygen produced during photosynthesis? From where does that oxygen comes? And the choice is given CO2, because carbon also contains oxygen, CO2. So just to confuse whether this oxygen comes from carbon dioxide or it comes from water, the correct answer is it comes from water. Okay, and the step is called photolysis of water. It is a step or a part of the light reaction of photosynthesis. Now the third step that we have during the light reaction of photosynthesis is, now where does this occurs? This splitting of water molecule into oxygen and hydrogen, it occurs in the grana of the chloroplast, that is the site of photosynthesis. The third step is reduction of NADP. NADP is an energy rich compound which stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. When it combines with 2 molecules, 2 electrons plus hydrogen, H plus, this H plus, that is the hydrogen ion, it helps to reduce NADP into the result which is formed is NADPH. So what is the meaning of NADPH? It is called reduced nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. If asked what is NADP or NADPH, NADP stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, and this H is there, then you have to write reduced, only simply add the word reduced, and rest all will be same like NADP only. So what are they? They are energy rich compound. Now what is the function of this energy rich compound? Just like ATP provides energy, this one also provides energy in the reduction of carbon dioxide into glucose during the dark reaction of photosynthesis. Got it? Now next, or the last step, number 4, is the formation of ATP. ATP means, you know, ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. It is called the energy currency of the cell. So fourth step is formation of ATP. Now how the ATP is formed? ATP is formed, the full form of ATP is adenosine triphosphate, means 3 molecules of phosphate is there. So when ADP, that is adenosine diphosphate, di means 2 atoms of phosphate is there, when it combines with IP, IP means inorganic phosphate, this PI or IP means inorganic phosphate. So 2 is already there, 1 phosphate is added, 2 plus 1, 3, that gives rise to ATP. And since it is produced in the presence of sunlight, that is photons, so that's why this process, first I will say what is the meaning of phosphorylation. Formation of ATP is called, one word is there, PHOS, phos, for, PHOS, phos, for, ray, RY, LATION. So what is phosphorylation? So what is phosphorylation? Formation of ATP. And what is photophosphorylation? If I add the word photo, photo means sunlight. In the presence of sunlight, generation or formation of ATP during the light reaction of photosynthesis is called photophosphorylation. Got it? So this is the last step. ADP plus IP or PI, you can write inorganic phosphate. This PI or IP stands for inorganic phosphate. Okay? It gives rise to ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. So once again, what is the summary of light reaction of photosynthesis? The first step. Now, in the mechanism of photosynthesis, we studied the process of photosynthesis is a very complex process. It is completed in 2 steps. The first step is called the light reaction of photosynthesis. The second one is called dark reaction. Light reaction is also known as Hill's reaction, or it is also called photochemical phase. Dark reaction is also called Calvin cycle, or it is also known as biosynthetic phase. Site of light reaction where it occurs is the grana or the thylakoids, because grana is made up of thylakoids. Okay, so the site of light reaction is granum of the chloroplast. In the membrane of thylakoids actually it occurs, and the site of dark reaction is the stroma of chloroplast. Now then we studied about what are the different steps of light reaction. Light reaction is completed in the following 4 steps. What are they? Number 1 is chlorophyll activation, in which the chlorophyll molecules absorb sunlight in the form of a small unit. The light is in the form of unit called photons. So when these photons are absorbed by the chlorophyll molecule, they get excited. So chlorophyll becomes excited. This is the first step. Second step is water molecule is split. Split means broken down in the presence of sunlight to form hydrogen ion, and oxygen is released. So it is from this water only molecular oxygen is produced. If it is asked what is the source of oxygen produced during photosynthesis, answer is water, not carbon dioxide. Okay, and the third step is this generation of NADPH. NADPH means it is an energy rich compound, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. When it combines with 2 electrons and 1 proton, H plus means hydrogen ion or proton, it gives rise to reduced. Reduced means H is added. So when you write the full form of NADPH, you should write reduced and then same nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. Okay. Now what is the use of this energy rich compound? It is used during the dark reaction for the process of formation of glucose, during reduction of CO2 into glucose. And the last step, number 4, is phosphorylation. It is called photophosphorylation. Formation of ATP is called phosphorylation. When it occurs in the presence of sunlight, it is called photophosphorylation. So when ADP stands for adenosine diphosphate. Di means already 2 atoms of phosphate is there, 2 molecules of phosphate. So when it is combined with IP means inorganic phosphate, 2 plus 1, 3, it results in the formation of ATP, which is the energy rich compound. Okay, understood? So now next we will study about the dark reaction or the Calvin cycle. Okay, the next we have to do is the dark reaction of photosynthesis, which is also known as Calvin cycle, named after the scientist who discovered it. And the site of dark reaction is stroma of chloroplast. Stroma of chloroplast, this is the site. And what happens during the dark reaction is, during this process, energy rich compound, that is NADPH, which was produced or formed in the light reaction, it helps in the reduction of CO2 into glucose. So there is a chain of reactions in which the carbon dioxide molecules combine with them to form a long chain-like structure, and that results in polymerization to form the glucose molecules, which is stored in the plants in the form of starch. Now during the dark reaction, you will find why it is called a dark reaction. This question is asked just to create confusion in the mind of the students. Dark reaction does not mean it occurs in the absence of light. It also occurs in the daytime only, in the presence of sunlight only, and it is simultaneous. Simultaneous means within a gap of a fraction of second, both light and dark reactions keep on going on. And dark reaction is the one which immediately follows light reaction, then again the light reaction, dark reaction. In this way, it is continuous process. It occurs simultaneously, means at a time all together both of them are taking place. Dark reaction does not mean that this type of or this part of photosynthesis occurs at night in the dark. No, that will be a wrong assumption. If we keep this in mind, that dark reaction of photosynthesis means okay, at night it will take place. At night there is no photosynthesis. Okay, so keep it in mind. At night there is no photosynthesis because there is no sunlight. So why dark reaction? Dark reaction means it is a phase of photosynthesis which does not depend on light. It is a light independent phase. So better to say light independent phase. light independent phase of photosynthesis is called the dark reaction. The other name is light independent phase. Okay, and where does it occur? Already I said. Now, what are the chemical changes which occurs in the dark reaction? Only a little bit information. All the chemical equations are not asked in the syllabus. I can check. Dark reaction, only combination of hydrogen released by NADP with CO2 to form glucose. Already I have said that by a process called polymerization, detailed equations are not required. Just for your idea, I am saying what happens here. Number one is fixation of carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide in the leaves, CO2 in the leaves, which is coming in the leaves through the stomata, it combines with this carbon dioxide in the leaves, combines with rubub, RUBP. This may be asked in the examination. What is the full form? So you can learn it. Ribulose biphosphate. RIBULOSE. Ribulose biphosphate. PHOSPHATE. It's better to learn the full form of this one. What is rubub? So ribulose 5-phosphate. It is a 5-carbon compound. Okay, it has 5 carbon atoms. When you see the structure, like benzene has 6 carbon, here it has 5 carbon in rubub. It combines with a 5-carbon compound called ribulose 1,5-biphosphate. So full form is ribulose 1,5-biphosphate, not ribulose biphosphate. Okay, so ribulose 1,5-biphosphate, and it forms an unstable 6-carbon compound. That 6-carbon compound is formed. 6 carbon, 6C I have written. C means carbon. A compound is formed. This unstable compound is splits into, that is break down into 2 molecules of PGA. PGA stands for phosphoglycerol aldehyde. Again I will write its full form. Phosphoglyceric acid, GLYCERIC, glyceric acid, phosphoglyceric acid, PGA. 2 molecules of 3 carbon phosphoglyceric acid. This PGA, it has 3 carbon in it. If you see the structure of phosphoglyceric acid, it is a compound which has 3 carbons. So 3C I am writing. Here it was 6C. Here it was ribulose biphosphate was 5C, 5 carbon compound. So see the number of atoms of carbon changes. Like first there is carbon dioxide combines with a 5 carbon compound, which is ribulose 1,5-biphosphate. It changes into a 6 carbon compound. This one is split or break down into 2 molecules of PGA. And PGA is the first stable product of photosynthesis. This is asked in the examination. Which is the first stable compound formed during photosynthesis? This one only. So you can write it. First stable compound formed during photosynthesis. First stable compound formed during photosynthesis. In one word answer they may ask. Okay. What is or name the first stable compound formed during photosynthesis? Your answer should be PGA, that is phosphoglyceric acid. So 2 molecules of phosphoglyceric acid are formed. It is a 3 carbon compound. So 3C I am writing here. 3C means 3 carbon compound that contains 3 carbon atoms in it. Okay. Now next is formation of simple sugar. This is the first step. Formation of simple sugar. In the presence of ATP and NADPH, both of them, remember, are energy rich compounds. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. NADPH stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. The phosphoglyceric acid, that is PGA, is converted into PGAL. So next step after this PGA, it is converted into PGAL. What is the full form of this PGAL? Phosphoglycerol aldehyde, it is said, not acid here. Now this phosphoglyceric acid is converted into phosphoglycerol aldehyde in the presence of what is the ATP and NADPH. In the presence of these 2 energy rich compounds, PGA gets converted into that is phosphoglyceric acid is converted into phosphoglyceraldehyde, okay, which is further converted into glucose, and this one is further changed into glucose, that is C6H12O6. C6H12 and O6. This is the formula of glucose. So see how the equation proceeds. Starting from CO2, carbon dioxide combines with rhubarb. Rhubarb is the form of an enzyme, you can say. Its full form is ribulose 1,5-biphosphate. It is a 5-carbon compound. When it combines with rhubarb combines with CO2, it gives a 6-carbon compound which is broken down or split into 2 molecules of 3-carbon compound called PGA. And this PGA is the first stable compound formed during photosynthesis. Now this PGA combines with the energy-rich compound, that is ATP and NADPH, and it is converted into PGAL, that is phosphoglyceraldehyde, which is further converted into glucose. So the entire process of dark reaction is completed and glucose is formed, which is our requirement or which is the end product of photosynthesis. Oxygen was already formed during the light reaction by the splitting of water molecule. So remember, splitting of water molecule is called photolysis of water. And that results in the formation of oxygen, and glucose is formed during the dark reaction, not during the light reaction. Okay. Now next we have to study is regeneration of rhubarb. This rhubarb is once again regenerated because once again it needs to carry out some more reactions to produce more and more glucose molecules. So some molecules of phosphoglyceric acid, that is PGA, they undergo a series of reactions. That reactions are in the form of cyclic manner. It is called Calvin cycle, and it produces ribulose 1,5-biphosphate. Once again this one is regenerated. So overall chemical equation of dark reaction already mentioned in your book, which is not required. It will not be asked in the examination to write the chemical equation of dark reaction because it's mentioned chemical equation not required. Okay, I can see detailed equations are not required, so no need to worry about that. Now next is future of glucose. Whatever glucose molecules are produced during photosynthesis, what is the fate or future of this glucose? What will the plants do with that glucose? Okay, they will need some glucose molecules to produce energy by respiration, because they also need to use some of the glucose molecules for themselves to generate energy during the process of respiration. And the remaining extra molecules of glucose, it will be transported to all the parts of the plant where it can be stored in the form of starch. So plants store extra glucose in the form of starch in the roots, leaves, stems. Understood? Now in the daytime photosynthesis is there, so plants will keep on producing more and more glucose, which will get converted into starch. At night there is no photosynthesis, so whatever starch molecules are present in their stored organs, they will reconvert or change into glucose and it will be utilized by the plants. Okay. Now next we have to study the factors affecting the rate of photosynthesis. You know that photosynthesis is affected by many factors. What are they? Number one is light intensity, means how much the amount of sunlight is there, that will affect the rate of photosynthesis. We know sunlight is required for photosynthesis, and the plants will not make their food in the absence of sunlight. And in that sunlight also, like if you keep the plants directly under the sunlight, the rate of photosynthesis decreases. So plants can make more food in the shade as compared to in the direct sunlight. And in that sunlight also, the rate of photosynthesis vary according to the intensity of light. Like if the low intensity of light is there, like in the morning and the evening, the rate of photosynthesis will decrease. But if the intensity increases, like one graph is there, as the intensity of sunlight is increasing, the rate of photosynthesis also increases. But beyond that, if you keep on increasing the sunlight, this is the rate of photosynthesis, and this one is the intensity of sunlight. So even if you keep on increasing the sunlight, the rate of photosynthesis becomes stabilized. It will not further increase. Okay? Therefore, plants grow best in shady places and not under direct sunlight. Now, different colors of light are there. You know, sunlight is made up of 7 different colors. Vibgyor, the rainbow color, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow. Now, out of these colors, which is the best one for the rate of photosynthesis? This is also asked in the examination. The rate red and blue lights are more effective than green light, which is the least effective for photosynthesis. So if asked, the rate of photosynthesis increases in red and blue lights, not in the green lights. So red and blue light is best for photosynthesis. Got it? So rate of photosynthesis increases with increase in the rate of intensity of sunlight, but after some time it gets stabilized. Now there are two types of factors. This one I missed. Rate of photosynthesis is affected both by external factors. External factors means like sunlight is there, water is there, and internal factors also. Internal factors means what is the constituent of the leaves, then what are the presence of cells like protoplasm of the plant cells, which can affect the rate of photosynthesis. Okay, chlorophyll content, accumulation of photosynthetic products, like if already plenty of glucose molecules are present or accumulated in the leaves, that can also affect the rate of photosynthesis. So now next we have to do is temperature. A suitable temperature is very much required for the rate of photosynthesis. Like you may have seen the plants which are growing in very cold places, which is covered by snow and ice, the rate of photosynthesis decreases. Even in higher temperature, the plants which are there in the desert, where the temperature is more than 50 degrees, there also the rate of photosynthesis decreases. Why is it so? Because the enzymes will work best at a particular temperature. So low temperature will decrease the enzyme activity, and higher temperature can kill the enzymes and therefore decrease their activity. So there is the range of temperature which is suitable for the rate of photosynthesis, and that is called the optimum temperature. The optimum temperature is between 10 to 35 degrees C. So the best temperature for the plants to carry out photosynthesis is in between 10 degree to 35 degree. This is the best temperature. The rate of photosynthesis will be higher. If it is below 10 degree, rate of photosynthesis decreases. If more than 35 degrees, then also the rate of photosynthesis decreases. Then comes some thermal algae is there which can make food even at 75 degrees C, because they are adapted to carry out their functions even at such a higher temperature. Then next we have the carbon dioxide. You know that carbon dioxide is present in the atmosphere in the form of one of the gases, and its concentration is 0.03%. Means the normal amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is 0.03%. Now if there is increase in the rate of photosynthesis, initially the rate of, if there is increase in the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, initially means in the starting, the rate of photosynthesis increases. But if it is further increased to more than 1%, the rate, this carbon dioxide increases to more than 1%, then the rate of photosynthesis will decrease. So initially it will increase, but beyond 1%, rate of photosynthesis decreases. So if the supply of carbon dioxide is stopped, there is no CO2, then also the rate of photosynthesis will decrease. So very high concentration of carbon dioxide, more than 1%, decreases the rate of photosynthesis. Okay. Now next is water. You know that water is one of the important factor needed for photosynthesis. Okay. But you must also remember that plants use very less quantity of water for photosynthesis. Why they need this water? Just now we studied that oxygen is produced by the splitting of water molecule during the light reaction of photosynthesis by photolysis of water. So that's why water is necessary for production of oxygen. Water is needed for the enzymes to work. Water is needed for the transportation of glucose molecules from one place to the other in the plants. So many more uses of water is there. And water is also necessary to maintain the hardness or the turgidity of the guard cells, which helps in the opening and closing of stomatal pore for the movement of oxygen and carbon dioxide, diffusion of carbon dioxide and oxygen in and out of the plant cell. Similarly, for the intake of carbon dioxide also it is required, and for the throwing out of water vapor during transpiration also it is needed. Now the rate of photosynthesis decreases if the water supply is stopped for some time, because it will make the guard cells flaccid, and if the guard cells becomes flaccid, they will close the stomatal pore, and if stomata is closed, no CO2, CO2 means no photosynthesis. Got it? So in fact, less than 1%, this is the symbol of less than 1% of water is needed by plants or used by plants for photosynthesis. Means if a plant take 100 liter of water, even 1 liter of water is also not used. Less than 1 liter of water is used for photosynthesis. So 1% of the water absorbed by the root is utilized in photosynthesis. So you can think that it is not a very major factor for photosynthesis. It cannot be a limiting factor. Now one point is there that is not discussed here in the book. What is the law of limiting factor? Law of limiting factor states that suppose many factors affect the rate of photosynthesis, the one which is needed in the minimum quantity or lowest quantity can affect the entire rate of photosynthesis. That is called the law of limiting factor. Like there is proper amount of CO2, proper amount of water, but only the quantity of one of them is less, that can affect the entire rate of photosynthesis. Now last one is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the most important because it is the one which helps to trap the sunlight to carry out photosynthesis. So in the absence of chlorophyll, no trapping of solar energy or sunlight and no photosynthesis will be there. So plants which do not have any chlorophyll, like fungus, they are without chlorophyll, so they are unable to synthesize their food by photosynthesis. Okay, now next we have to do is the internal factors which affect the rate of photosynthesis. Like first one is accumulation of photosynthetic product. Suppose a leaf has already made plenty of food by photosynthesis and plenty of glucose molecules are present in that leaf, that will also affect the process of photosynthesis. It will slow down and even it can make the rate of photosynthesis zero. Stand still. Now second one is protoplasm. Protoplasm, you know, the entire living contents of the cell is called protoplasm. If the protoplasm is dry, means dehydration, the loss of water from the protoplasm, it will kill the enzymes which are present, and that will also affect the rate of photosynthesis. So two other factors that can be considered is, one is oxygen, the other is potassium. In the absence of oxygen, photosynthesis cannot take place. So photosynthesis to take place, oxygen is required. The second one is potassium. Variations in oxygen percentage, like if the percentage of oxygen, you know that 21% oxygen is there in the atmosphere. If there is increase or decrease in that percentage of oxygen, it will not affect the rate of photosynthesis. Potassium acts as a catalyst and it helps in the synthesis of carbohydrates. Therefore, starch grains are not formed in the absence of potassium. So, in this way, potassium can also affect the rate of photosynthesis. And the last one is sunlight and carbon dioxide. If the cuticle, that is the outermost layer of leaves, which has a waxy coating, it is very thick, that will affect the rate of photosynthesis. The size of the leaf, like how the leaves are exposed to sunlight, how much sunlight they receive, that can also affect the rate of photosynthesis. Number of stomata, that will also affect the rate of photosynthesis. Their position and behavior will also affect the penetration of light and diffusion of carbon dioxide. Now you should know there are two types of chlorophyll molecule. One is chlorophyll A, the other one is chlorophyll B. Not only two, many more are there in higher classes you will study, but in your book only two are mentioned that are responsible for photosynthesis in plants. Out of them, chlorophyll A is the main pigment that is involved in trapping solar energy and converting into chemical energy. So we have completed this chapter. Only the experiments are left. In the next class, I will continue with these experiments and then we'll discuss some question answers. Okay? Thank you.